He said, Sunil Gavaskar has not dressed well. He has not worn a tie, so he's fine. And I said, no, why are you finding me? So where's your tie? So I said, well, my tie is, where my shorts are. It's not necessary. It was under my shorts. It's not. I said, you never specified that the tie is to be worn near the neck.
Do you remember who was your first friend in the Indian cricket setup? Your first senior who sort of perhaps you were more drawn towards, or who took you under his wing or became
Well,
your mentor as such?
I mean, Ajit Wadekar and Dilip Sardesai, the two Mumbai stalwarts, they were the ones who took me under their wings. But I was lucky to have players of my age who had already played for India. Vishwanath, for example, he played a couple of years before. Eknath Solkar, who had also played a couple of years before I made my debut. So they were already there. We were of the same age. We had played together for Indian schools. So there was that, we knew each other. And them having played a couple of years and played against strong teams like Australia, there was plenty to sort of, rejoice in their success, learn from their success. So it was quite easy. Luckily, again, I have to say that with Ajit Wadekar being a Mumbai guy, being my captain, he was my first captain at the Ranji Trophy level. He was my first captain at the Test level. And so it was a lot easier to interact with him. Sometimes, there's always just that little bit of a distance between, say, the captain and the and the junior members of the team.
Yeah.
And that's always a dilemma for a captain. I mean, I found that when I became the captain, dilemma for a captain is, do you still be one of the boys?
Yeah.
Or do you keep a little distance? If you're one of the boys, then, sometimes, the kind of sort of respect that the captain needs to have may not always be there. So that's always a dilemma. But luckily for me, with Ajit Wadekar, there was no such issue.
And how did you handle that then? Did you find a balance between both? Or because what happens is, if you're one of the boys, they're your friends and they are your friends, you've grown up playing with them, but tomorrow you may need to drop one of them from the 11.
Exactly. So that's always a tough one. What we did, I was very fortunate that in my first year, I toured 3 major countries, 2 with the Indian team and 1 with the rest of the world team. And it was when we were with the rest of the world team where, people didn't know each other that well. Some of us had played against each other, but didn't know each other that well. That there was an England spinner called Norman Gifford, and he organized a Sunday club.
Yeah.
So that Sunday club was where there was a chairman, which was chairman was appointed on the Wednesday maybe, and the first chairman was appointed on the Wednesday, and then the chairman by Friday had to give you the dress code for the Sunday club on so Sunday evening, and that was Sunday. And once you came there that evening, Sunday evening, it was it was just a fun evening.
Yeah.
There was no formality at all. You could do anything, and what it did was it just completely melted the ice, if there was ever any. So to be able to sit down in the same room along with a Garfield Sobers and a Rohan Kanhai, and to be able to see them as human beings and not the great cricketers they were. So that is what I took when I became the captain. So when I became the captain, I brought in the Sunday club.
Yeah.
And so we had weird uniforms. I mean, it was entirely up to the chairman of the Sunday club to give you uniforms. So I mean, you had a Sandeep Patil when he was the chairman, and absolutely ideal because Sandeep is such a fun-loving guy.
Yeah.
He had a uniform where you had to come in with a center parting in your hair.
Yeah.
Compulsory.
Yeah.
Center parting in your hair. You came, if I recall correctly, you came with a white sock in your left hand, and a black in your right hand, not on your feet, mind you.
Yeah.
You came in with a shirt tied back to front. You came in. I mean, you had to, or you wore a tie without a shirt.
Yeah.
It was, crazy. But what it did was, it sort of, the junior most member of the team saw that happening.
Yeah.
And he absolutely, he sort of, realized that, hang on a minute, these guys might be great players, but they're also, same like me, 2 eyes, two hands, etc.
Yeah.
So it certainly helped wonderfully that.
There's Ayaz Memon on the podcast told us about when he went to Sandeep Patil's house for the first time, and then he went up to the terrace and there was a defunct plane there, which a small aeroplane, which Sandeep Patil put on the terrace, and
Yes.
that was his entertainment area, like a bar and a
Yes.
sit-out area and
Yes.
stuff. And I was like,
he
that's
has-
so
he-
gangster.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing.
He's got a terrific big terrace.
Yeah.
And so when we went there, suddenly, I mean, I'd heard about the fact that he had bought this, plane,
Yeah.
the one which was being obviously there was nothing in the cockpit. There was no equipment in the cockpit,
Yeah,
etc.
this is the
So
shell.
it was
yeah.
a proper aircraft, and
Yeah.
therefore, you're right. He had a bar down there, and it was just crazy.
Yes.
But that's Sandeep for you.
Yeah, that's spectacular. I love it. And he loves cooking and he loves entertaining, and he's a boisterous party person, isn't he?
Yes. And so in that particular Sunday club, the chairman had the option. He could fine you.
Yeah.
He could fine you for not having come, dressed as you were told. And then if the rest of the team agreed, then obviously went through. But the rest of the team could also contest. So
Yeah.
it was like instant justice. You could say, no, sorry. I remember because he had said you got to wear a tie. And I think we were bare-chested. His thing was center party. We were bare-chested. I think we had to put lipstick on, something like that. It's
So
silly.
you all were Salman Khan from Tere Naam 30 years before it happened.
Yeah, you could say that. So it was, and so he asked me, "Where's your tie?" And I said, "Well, I've got my tie on. So what's your problem?"
Yeah.
So he fined me. Actually, he fined me. He said, "Sunil Gavaskar has not dressed well. He has not worn a tie, so he's fined." And I said, "No, why are you finding me?" So where's your tie? So I said, well, my tie is, where my shorts are. It's not necessary. It was under my shorts. It's not. I said, you never specified that the tie is to be worn near the neck. So then I turned it around and I asked the guys, rest of the guys, I've got this. He hadn't mentioned that it has to be worn around the throat. So because he's fined me wrongly, do you think the chairman should be fined? Everybody unanimously agreed. So it was, the chairman who fined. And the fines that were collected were used to, for the refreshments and the drinks for the
Yeah.
next Sunday's thing.
Yeah.
So that was it. So it was.
You
it was
started a
good
coup, basically.
Yeah, it was
To
nice.
overthrow the chairman,
Yeah.
Sandeep Patil.
Yeah.
By wearing a tie around your waist. Smartly done. For many more stories like this, join me on 22 Yarns, a Spotify original.